It is Wednesday, April 12th, and this is Diesel Talk Daily. Today, I want to talk about the cost of trucking, specifically the input equipment costs on the front end, especially for owner operators. Your average truck these days, they continue to get more expensive, just like everything else. And for a day cab, chassis truck, you could be looking at $100,000 to $150,000. For a truck with a sleeper on it, you could be looking at closer to $200,000, depending on your spec and your options. So getting into a truck as an owner operator is not an inexpensive venture. You are going to be putting out some serious coin. And now the EPA is looking to possibly make that even more expensive with some new emission standards. Reading from FreightWaves here, EPA's new emission standards would boost heavy truck equipment costs by about $14,000 into 2032, agency estimates. Now, this, 14 grand on a truck that's, 200 grand, does that really seem like that big of a deal? Well, maybe not to somebody who's not buying one, but when you're getting a truck, obviously that's going to hit the pocketbook a little bit. The Biden administration's newly unveiled standards aimed at drastically reducing carbon emissions from heavy trucks would boost equipment costs for manufacturers, fleets, and owner operators. The EPA's new greenhouse gas standards for heavy trucks would begin in model year 2028 and extend to model year 2032. So basically, they were looking to just increase emission standards. Nothing specifically in the article here on FreightWaves about how they intend to do that, but they want to continue to cut down on greenhouse gases, and carbon dioxide is going to be the next target for them. They continue to target traditional diesel engines with increasing emissions regulations, and I think this is going to be one of the primary ways that they're going to be pushing the electric trucks. From FreightWaves here, the agency estimates the new standards will cost truck manufacturers $9 billion with a B before considering the battery tax credits. With those tax credits, the cost is estimated to be $5.7 billion, and that's for the compliance costs for the manufacturers. And I think they will continue to keep increasing emissions regulations and making it more and more costly to own a diesel truck. If they just went out and said, hey, we're going to ban gasoline engines and diesel engines, I think that'd be extremely unpopular, and that's typically not how the government operates. They will simply just continue to regulate it and make it more and more expensive and more strenuous until you can't afford to do it anymore, essentially. So there's a comment here on FreightWaves talking about just the taxes and a cost of acquiring a truck. This particular commenter, named aptly, "This is getting out of hand," wrote this: truck MSRP is about $140K plus federal excess tax comes to $196K. Couple that with a $50K dry van registration, and you're looking at $250K to get into an overroad tractor and trailer, and this is obviously for an owner operator. Assuming you put 20% down, and he talks about interest rates, you're looking at $4,000 a month plus insurance plus IFTA plus excise tax plus state, federal, etc., etc. I think the lesson he is trying to impart here is that it is going to become prohibitively expensive to become an independent owner operator and own your own truck and own your own business. And that's a real shame, because there's a lot of people that have made a very good living and become independent by becoming truck drivers over the years. It's one of the, if not the most popular job for men out there, working men. It's by the number. There's more truck drivers than anybody else, and you can make some pretty good money driving a truck. But these new regulations that they're going to push are definitely going to fall hard on owner operators, especially if you're trying to get a newer rig instead of trying to upkeep an older one. Now, this sort of regulation doesn't necessarily hit the major lines nearly as hard as the individual owner operators. They obviously can afford to have a little bit more cushion and absorb those costs of running those trucks. But will the owner operator become a dying breed in the future? Don't know. There already are. A lot of them are quitting. A lot of the old timers are getting out of the game. And, going forward as somebody who's younger and, still has years and years to work, are they going to want to jump into that, or is it going to become a purely large carrier? Or is it going to be Swift and, some of these other large carriers? Are they just going to take over the game completely and owner operators will be a thing of the past? I don't know. It remains to be seen. What do you think? Drop a comment down below, and we'll see you tomorrow.